Yep.
This evening's work is about prayers, about blessings. Many of us do pray. Some of us don't. Some of us give their intent through some form. Why is it important that we pray? Do we only pray when we need something or in a situation looking for help for yourself or others? When you pray, do you give thanks? Usually, yes. Prayers are seeds of intent. What waters them is blessing. Okay, that might be something that might be new to you to truly understand that. What is a blessing? Any of you, what would you say a blessing is? Anybody? What's the difference between a blessing and a prayer?
Hi, this is Natalie in Louisville.
Oh, hi.
Louisville, Kentucky. I would say a blessing is the receipt of peace of mind, body, spirit. And the prayer would be the request for that.
You could add that.
You could add healing to peace.
Yes, very good. By the way, Natalie, I am coming to your area in July.
Oh, you are? In July?
In July.
Great.
You can talk to Joseph all about that. I am actually going to be taking the teachings to Louisville.
Wonderful.
And I will be there in physical person.
And we will welcome you with open arms.
Well, Joseph is actually putting it all together.
That's how I came across this call. Yeah.
Yes. So there you are. So perhaps we will actually meet in person.
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, you're right on, though. Anybody else got about what is a blessing, what is a prayer, what is the difference?
I listen to David Wilcock a lot, and I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. I know Joseph has. I was raised Catholic, so I feel a blessing is kind of a verbal affirmation to people, to something, to the earth, to others. It's light and love filled words is a blessing, and it's just my idea. And I feel a prayer is more asking for something or praying that somebody can heal or ask for guidance. You're asking for guidance or help. That's just what came across my brain just now.
Yes. Yes. Anybody else?
Linda Salvador, I feel a blessing is a gift from God. And I feel that a prayer is where you're asking or you're praying to give thanks for whatever you've been blessed with. Like a prayer of gratefulness, being grateful.
Very good.
Oh, I forgot the reason why I mentioned David Wilcock. This is Celine again. On the guy on TV, he said that all the extraterrestrials and other people that are out there in the other galaxies, the bad guys, they don't want us to pray. They don't want us to send blessings because that empowers us. They don't want us to think positive. And he says when you pray and when you bless, you raise your vibration and the vibration of those around you. Sorry, I forgot why I had mentioned them.
No, that's good because actually we have, and that is the intent, actually, the call of creation, the cloth of creation's intent to do exactly that. that's its intent in a nutshell, is to raise all the energetics that are now here have never been before. These are new beyond the word new can even convey. This is the evolution of all life. So it is not just necessary, but it is essential, vital even, that we all step up. And that means not just you, just not me, not just any one certain person, but everyone. We are one. So when we pray, and that prayer is filled with blessing, it fills in the canopy of light that has, in any place, has become dim. Any place that has maybe a gap, anywhere where it's leaking or has a hole in it, if you will. By us coming together in this higher way, in this higher intent, this is what happens. So we are doing exactly what you just said. How about that?
That's why we call in, Fran, for your light-filled, love-filled energy.
Well, thank you for the kind words. Well, you know, we are vessels of light, each and every one of us. Some of us are called to be guides. That is what this vessel has been called to do. And that all of you come, that is a gift beyond price. And that all of you keep coming back. And all of you perhaps will and would very strongly love it if you would all physically come to the workshops and the journeys, because look at what we're doing right here on the phone. Now envision what will happen when we come together in physical as well as the energetic, merging the higher, merging the high, sacred, non-ordinary into the ordinary physical. How would that be? For any of you who have done that, you know that. And you can, and any of you can share that if you'd like.
And what I feel of prayer in of itself, you know, even with the work of, like say, even prayer bundles, just the act of, you know, being there, giving an offering, just sort of frees up the space to let what's really there be itself. And it just sort of aligns everything and just sort of brings everything in a balance, you know, in a way that's, you know, much more heightened than regular, normal physical perception, five-sense reality. And it just sort of brings back that sort of heightened awareness while, you know, in ceremony and in offerings and anything like that. Just sort of brings back the sacredness of life.
Yes, and that, in saying that, well said, in saying that, when we are in formal sacred ceremony and we are now merged in the high sacred with the high sacred non-ordinary with the lower physical self ordinary, prayer, blessings, has now taken on form that can be felt. It's tangible. It's no longer just words or within one person. It has now taken on a form of its own. Any of you who have been in sacred ceremony of light, you all know that. So how would that be? And that is exactly what this is about this evening. I'm going to ask you to mute the phone for a little bit, Joseph, and then we will get on.
You can go ahead.
Apunwilka, Wirakocha, Hapunwilka, Pajama, Apunwilka, Inti Taita, Apunwilka, Mamikila, Apunwilka, Apukunya, Apunwilka, Munai, Munchai, Conchai, Same, Munai. Even that is a prayer. And asking, calling on the sacred ones of light in all their forms, be it mountains, the moon, the earth itself, the sun, to come and guide us. The dictionary would tell you that the word benediction means an invocation of blessing. So that is, simply put, the intent, the will, and the word put into action. The intent, the will, and the word in actual form. The intent is the prayer. What you're asking about, what you're offering, what you're giving in gratitude. And as that prayer is being formed and given, the will is being gathered. And through the will, the word then is released through the word. This would be the prayer given through blessing. This is the water that runs through. If any of you have gone to a religion, if you practice a religion now or have ever, each house of religion has its own forms. All of the light, all sacred, all beautiful, all threads of this cloth we know that is the energetic. No one cloth is made up of one thread, and this is why it is vital that all come to know that not any one religion is more than the other. They are all equal, because together they weave this beautiful cloth of creation we know to be the energetic. So prayer, in that moment we have begun weaving through our intent. The more and more that we fill that intent with blessing, the pure light itself, the pure liquid light, if you will, flowing, moving through the words that are forming that prayer. It gives it life. It gives it light. It becomes a brilliant luminescence with the light. And that river, that flow of blessing, this river of blessing, flows to all and touches all. In many of the places of religion, there can be those that are speaking those words. And sometimes it's felt, sometimes it's not. Sometimes perhaps even yourself, you may say your prayers, but you don't feel them. And that may be because the lower self is tired. It's grumpy, it's in its way, and it just wants to go to bed or whatever it's doing. So you tell it very simply, step aside, relax, enjoy our prayers, we keep going. And in that way, the river, the flow, that benediction flows, opening all ways. And when you say your prayers, as many of us do, it isn't only for ourselves or maybe our own families or people we know. Take it larger. I will tell you something, folks. Every night before I sleep, I ask for guidance and assistance to all. I say, for all those I know and all those I don't know. I ask for blessings and guidance and help to all those, human and non-human, who are living outdoors, or living in rough living conditions. I also ask that guidance and assistance be given to all those who are not walking in the path of life. I do ask that strong enlightenment be given to all those so that they may see that what they've been doing, being, and following is not of the light, and that they can make better choices. Because you see, it isn't for us to condemn or to cause anyone else harm, because in the moment we wish harm for anything or anyone else, we have brought it upon ourselves. So we do not look to destroy or harm. And in fact, we ask that enlightenment be given so that person or people can make better choices and come to realize that what they've been doing, being, following is not of the light. Now feel that, folks, as it is filled with blessing. It is not just words. It is filled with blessing. Now the thing, too, with prayers, it can't be simply personal. You know our code of life. What I do for myself, I do for the greater good, not because it serves me only, but because it serves us all. So each and every prayer that you offer, that you say, even though it may be something in your life, know that it touches all, and bring that even into your prayers. Perhaps even that said, what I do and say now serves not only me, but it serves us all. And in that way, truly, it is filled with blessing. Because you see, as we go through life, many things happen where we can get real upset about stuff. That beautiful British expression that I love, get your knickers in a twist. I love that. Because it can certainly feel like that. So when we fill something with that blessing, that flow, that glowing liquid light, sacred, flowing, it takes it out of just asking, because you see, the prayers are like seeds, and the blessings are the waters that nourish them. And in that way, the roots of those seeds grow and touch all. We're going to go through an envisioning so that you can see this. But right before we do that, I would like you to open the phones once more, Joseph, because I'd like to hear briefly from all of you what you have just come to see in the guidance that was just given. Okay, got us open.
Yep, we're back.
Okay. Anyone? What have you got about that as those words were being spoken? Anybody? Yeah. I should say that there will be times throughout the calls you will hear what sounds like wind. It will be the different sacred waters that are being used that I am fukuing through my breath, sending to the sacred, and the sounds, the voices of the rattle. So know that to be as well. What I'm going to ask all of you to do is center and ground yourselves. And I would like each and every one of you to bring a prayer. A prayer to mind. It can be for something in your life. It can be something for people you know. It can be something global. It can be something that's happening in other parts of the world or beyond, or even beyond any of that, whatever your prayer is. Because when we journey now, when we move into this envisioning, as you say those prayers, envision them as seeds that are being given to the ground. And even in that time, even as it does, it's going to be filled with that liquid sacred we know as blessings. And in this way, you will truly know what this is. So I am going to ask you to mute the calls one more time. All the calls are muted. Joseph?
Yep, I was muted.
Center and ground. Center and ground. Form a prayer, whether it is for yourself or for someone in your life or others in your life or somewhere in the world. Not as you would have it. Not the outcome of the prayer to be as you would have it, but as what best serves all. See yourself now, kneeling on the ground, on the Pachamama herself. Before you is fresh ground, ready to receive the seed of your prayers that you are now holding in your hands. Blow your intent into those seeds This is the blessings. Blow them into those seeds. And even as you do this, even now, what is happening with those seeds is even now they begin to grow. Even as you put them into the garden, that freshly turned soil. Keep praying, filling your prayers with those blessings. Perceive as those tendrils take root and grow. Perceive how fast they grow, how quickly they travel. Perceive how they touch wherever they will, connecting where perhaps the connections have become broken, strengthening those that are already present. Feel, perceive, as those prayers, those seeds, being filled and fed, are growing through the blessings, this sacred water of light. In the places, in the people who have not known light or have forgotten of it. Those who live in a construct that is not full. See this. Perceive it. Feel the joy. Perceive as those in any of these places where your seeds have now sent their roots. Those who dwell in those places, how a spark of light has come now, how it's not so dark anymore, how it is brightened in those places that are already bright and brightening those places that have not been. The babies and the children, non-human and human, the elders, the people, human and non-human. And for those who do not walk in the light, your prayers filled with the benediction of blessing, which is a blessing, bringing enlightenment. These plants, these beautiful, beautiful, splendid plants of light in their richness. You see, the light is all. The light is eternal. And yes, you too, receive this as well. Taking your hand, the left over the right, placing your hands on your heart. Your right hand on your heart, your left hand on your right hand. And let this blessing, these prayer-filled blessings, flow through you. Grateful for all that you have been given. From the piece of bread that you have eaten today. to seeing a smile on a face, perhaps seeing a baby. For knowing that you are not alone if there has been any situations that have not been all that pleasant. Knowing that you have been able to stand strong because you're not alone. And because you have and are becoming more conscious. You perceive through the higher perceptual primal self now, knowing the difference of when it is that or the lower self being fearful. Give yourself that gift, that prayer. And perceive that in the second, in the instant you do that, it spins out, radiates out to all others and all things, and well beyond this place we call the Pachamama. Center now and ground, fully returning to your physical bodies in the place and time where you are. And when Joseph opens the phone, please bring forth what it is you have, what you perceive in this visioning. And if you want to share what it is that your prayer was about and how you felt its blessing, fill it, please do, for it helps all. So you can open the phones, Joseph.
They are open.
Okay. Okay, folks. Anybody? Okay, everybody back? Yeah. Okay. Anybody like to say something about what he or she has just come to know?
This is Celine.
Go ahead, yes.
Was there somebody else?
Go ahead.
This is Celine, and I picked the Lord's Prayer, Our Father. I love that prayer, and when you were saying the blessing, I just was really more envisioning rather than journeying the light and all the archangels and the liquid light and everything around me. It was really nice.
Hey, it was a visioning. It was just that, a visioning. Were you able to perceive how that touched all?
Yes.
Yeah. Wonderful. Anyone else?
Hi, this is Susan. I always ask for healing for everybody and all the I don't know if it's like an Indian, like the four-legged, the two-legged, the flying, the swimming, the crawling, the standing still. I just often, I just use that prayer a lot. And so I just asked for healing, and I just felt, it definitely felt like it was just going out into waves and sort of just flying around. It was very nice.
Excellent. 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 Yes, Hari. Anyone else? Anybody else would like to add something? And know, folks, that what you have just given out to wherever it's been sent or to whomever, it is felt in that place and in that person, in those people. Even if it is just intuitive, it is there. They received it. Yes, somebody was going to say something. Yes? Okay. How would it be if others came to know that to pray in this way truly does make a difference? How would it be? There are churches and temples that have prayer circles, so that if someone of their congregation or parish has something happening, this prayer circle will meet. And they don't just say prayers rotely. They fill it with blessing. And that's why those prayer circles very often has wrought miracles out. Anyone ever know about that? Ever have that happen or know about prayer circles like that?
This is Celine, and who?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else.
No, go ahead, one of you.
Oh, go ahead, Celine. I was just saying yes. I'm sorry.
No, Susan. What were you?
Okay, one of you.
Know
Okay,
about it.
Susan, you go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to choose here. Susan, go ahead.
Okay. Yes. There's a spiritualist church that used to be around, and they always have healing groups. And I had a friend of mine had asked to pray for somebody, and I put it into the group. And a few weeks later, she said, "I don't know whatever your church is doing, but keep it up because it's working." So that was a nice thing. Yeah, that was powerful.
Yeah, it's that real. It's that actual, in everyday, ordinary. That's merging the non-ordinary into the ordinary. Excellent. Okay, Celine.
I was going physically to a meetup every Monday night, and at the end of the evening, we'd all get into a circle. We had a prayer bowl, and we put people's names in it, and we'd pray for people. And also, my aunt, once I was in the hospital, and she belongs to a church, and she sent me this box, and I opened it up, and it had a blanket in it with prayers. And apparently, her and a bunch of people from the church prayed for me with this blanket. Unfortunately, I threw the blanket out because it smelled moldy. I should have just washed it. But so yeah, it's very popular, and that's all I know.
Okay, very good. And yeah, it may have been better served if you kept that blanket. You see, whenever there is, throughout the centuries, in all different cultures all over the world, there are objects or articles that have been used in their sacred ceremonies. You know, in Tibet and other countries in that area of the world, there is something called a prayer wheel, and there are also prayer flags. These are kept in motion perpetually. So if one were to touch them or be around them, they would actually feel the emanation of the thousands of prayers that they embody. So when anything is brought in through a sacred ceremony of any type, and it is used or in that ceremony often or always, that item becomes embodied, imbued with all that sacred intent. And so it's something like, like in the ways that we follow of Peru, the sacred ways, there is something called kuya. Kuya is a Quechua word, sacred ones. These sacred ones of light, they're sentient. They become embodied, imbued with the intent. They bring their own, but when they are used, worked with, I should say, in sacred ceremony, they take on the embodiment of what that continued intent is. So anyone who is conscious, anyone even not so actually, can feel it, can emanate it. Many people who go to houses of religion, many of them are not conscious as we know that to mean, but they do feel the sacredness in those places. Why? Because sacred ceremony is offered in those places all the time, so they feel it. So it may be that in your sacred altar, that might be where you pray by. You know, in our work, it can be when I'm working with someone, when we are physically together working, it may be that a kuya or another sacred one in the altar, the sacred altar, is to be held or touched by that person or be placed on that person or around them. Some of you have had that happen when we've worked together and when we've been in person and that's happened. You know how that feels. You can feel its embodiment. So consider, what have you had around you when you pray? Is there anything you look at or hold or be around that, because that could very well likely be a repository for all that you've been offering. So it may be that you're working with someone, or maybe even if you're not consciously working or actively working with people, it may be that you're just having a conversation with someone, and it may come to you that maybe there was something there that that person should have, even for just a little while, because it holds that blessing. Holds that blessing. Anybody like to add something to that, or what they know about that? Okay. So it may be that you can bring your intent, the will, and the word into your prayers. So when you are praying, any of you who would like to respond with this, when you pray, is it for yourself and others you know, or do you go beyond that? And if you do, is it a general prayer, or is it more specific? Because you see, this goes into the teachings that are happening tonight. So it'd be good to have a little bit of a response, because I can go further then with that part.
I do light, love, and healing to the universe, always first, and then I do specific things for people that I know and myself.
Okay.
That's really nice.
Did somebody just say something? Didn't hear it.
It's Celine, and I said that's really nice.
It is.
I'd like to strive to be that. I'm much more egotistical in my praying. It's always directed towards me. So I do say thank you a lot, and I'm very grateful. But I think I'd like to strive to be more like Susan, with the blessing of everybody else and everything else as well.
Okay. Anyone else?
I seem to ask for a lot of healing for everybody I know, myself, and basically the planet, and our so-called leaders, and for enlightenment and for social justice and things like that as well.
Lovely. When I say my prayers, I always begin with gratitude. All you who are the sacred ones of light, I am deeply grateful and deeply humbled by all that you do for and with us and give us for everything always. And then with that, I will move on. I will go through people in my family, people I know, and I will also say, for all those I know and all those I don't know, I ask for the babies and children, human and non-human, for those who are going through grieving, that they receive extra help and comfort, enlightenment to those who are not walking in the light. And even when I do come to myself, everything that I ask for myself, I ask it and know it to be so that what serves me the best will enable me to serve all better. And then and I also ask that the sacred shields and the sacred wards of light, protection, and high protection as well. We might even have a call about that part. Boy, we got the next couple of calls all taken care of. And then before I complete the prayers, I always say, you who are the sacred ones of light, I am deeply grateful, deeply humbled, and deeply honored by all the non-ordinary and ordinary gifts you have given me this day. And I complete it by saying, I love you. Thank you, Suku Shilpaiki. And it's all filled with blessing, because that is the sacred. What does that say to any of you for your own ways of praying?
Well, to me, it sounds like you're coming from, and it's helpful for me because you're coming from a place of more gratitude and a higher vibration rather than, okay, here I'm mad and this is what you have to do about it. So I appreciate that, and I hope to try to remember that.
Well, you see, I know that if my lower self is grumpy about anything, I will deal with her during every time when I feel her.
Yeah.
And if I feel like she's being particularly recalcitrant, I will ask the sacred angels of light, help me out here. She's digging in her heels a bit here. I need some help. And then, they come right in and they say, all right, lighten up, honey. And we move on. But you see, it's bringing it through the highest sacred. You see, by being the vessel of light that you are, folks, and putting the personal aside, knowing that whatever you're asking for, okay, somebody got some noise going on there. that whatever you are putting through your prayers, bringing it through the higher sacred and putting the personal aside, removes any of that lower self grumpiness, the lower self attachment to staying safe. Because, folks, you're in the realm of the sacred. Where else can be the most secure? But in the pure arms, the pure heart of perfect love, perfect trust, the sacred of light, the sacred light itself. And in that, and by being in that, it radiates like 1,000 suns everywhere, well beyond this place we call the Pachamama. How about that? Anything about that?
Well, what comes to mind is in regards to different ways and types of praying, where prayer can come from a place where it is from a feeling that is whole, and through that sort of whole, intact emanation of prayer, or whatever your intent is in what you're doing, then that has so much more coherence and so much more resonance in the world, in how it affects the world and how it affects other people. Whereas if it was coming from, a state of, I want this and it's about me and this and that and the other, and this sort of list of needs or demands, and, that sort of disconnect that can be there from time to time. But, I feel without that sort of embodied gratitude that just sort of emanates whatever it is, and those good feelings that come from that, that's, the main work of the prayer itself, or the main effectiveness of it in itself, is just that feeling of expansion, that feeling of coherence.
Yes.
And this is Celine, and I work in an office. And sometimes I can feel the tension of everybody. So what I do is I open my hands up, and I say to myself, but I spread it, peace, love, joy, and I try to bring light into the, raise the vibration. Or sometimes I'm in traffic, heavy rush hour traffic, and I get really angry, and then I catch myself, and I start to bless people, and I do the peace, love, joy. So I'm not that egocentric, but
excellent.
It's just a little, just a tiny immediate environment thing. I'll have to go global.
Yes, expand that. What you're doing is good, but yes, expand it. Expand it. All of us in traffic, that can be a trigger for every one of us, for sure. Especially when people do things that you just say, oh my goodness, that person should not be behind a wheel. Yes, we all have been there. Okay. I can say that what I do is that I say we all keep safe by being mindful of ourselves, all others, all things, by paying good attention. And what that does is it maybe snaps some people out of wherever they are, or maybe they don't look at their phones in that moment, or do something that would have caused danger. I'll tell you something that happened last week. My van decided that who's going to have some troubles. And as I'm going around the corner, it stalls out. And there's traffic all around me, quite literally coming from every direction behind me. As I'm going around the corner, my van stalled out, and I was able to get it to the side. Not one bump from anyone. People, not one horn blew. Not one bit of nasty came from anywhere. They just went around and were gone. And I was able to get the van restarted and get to where I was going. What does that say to you?
Your
yes, I will. Yes, you got it, Mama. Absolutely. And I was going to just say to you, I will add that the sacred angels of light were right with me. I will grant you that. But yes. But you see, in the moment that I would have gotten into, certainly I'm concerned. My goodness. Certainly, my van just stalled out in the middle of traffic on a corner. Yeah, I'm going to be concerned. But was I fearful? No. It was just simply stay strong. Stay here. Don't distract. Be here. Stay here. And that created the sacred container as well. So what has that got to do with prayers and blessings? Why do I tell you that? Anybody?
Well, I think it's about where your mind is, where your attention is. It's more on gratitude and not being afraid, and it's the higher vibration.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
And it's your previous practice of that and getting connected to those higher vibrations through prayer that saved you in that instance. That quick moment when you didn't have a chance necessarily to consciously pray. It happened because you're used to practice.
Okay.
And connecting.
Yes. What happens is that when one consciously steps up and willingly accepts that he or she is a vessel of light and does whatever it has to be done unconditionally, embodiment happens. So it is no longer thinking about it. It's as natural as breathing. And there's no ego involved in it. It's just like getting up in the morning and knowing that you've got whatever color eyes you have. You don't have to think about that. It just is. There's no ego involved in it. There's no personal involved in it. It just simply it is. And this is why, folks, we encourage everyone to step up, show up, and physically come together unconditionally with a gladly willing to do in pure acceptance. This is how embodiment happens. And there's no thought about, oh, am I going to be safe? What's going to happen? There's none of that anymore. Because you know it as well as you know the color of your eyes. That's all. Is it easy? Is it hard? Well, that's up to you. Is it simple? Yes. It's simple because that is just simply yes. There's no question of it. It's simply yes. So, I live in a state of gratitude. And I know I am blessed in ways more beyond that I even No. Consciously, physically, in any way. I know that. And I am also deeply humbled by it. I am only one person. And this is part of blessing. This is part of prayer. So I know that if my lower self, physical self, is doing damn dumb things again, and it chooses to fall over itself, I know what it is. I know that for whatever reason, my human decided it's going to learn something the hard way. But because because of being conscious, that's where the direct guidance comes in, the direct teaching in. You don't have to do it that way. You're almost stepping on dangerous grounds there. You don't have to do it. What I do know is there's always a higher peak of the mountains to go to. And with that, folks, I'm always willing to go, whatever it takes. So can each and every one of you say that as the vessel of light that you are, are you willing to do whatever it takes unconditionally, whenever you are called, wherever you're called to do whatever, however long you're called to do it, without concern or distraction, unconditionally? Because, folks, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. That with non-attachment, graceful detachment to whatever is around you, whatever and whoever is around you. Up to you. What about that, folks?
Well, what I feel, the reward of sort of stepping into the flow of whatever guidance is there and listening to it and following it is that heightened awareness, is that embodiment of the sacred, or what is sacred, or whatever word you want to call it, whatever you want to call it, just sort of following that and following your own intuitive guidance and where it leads you, just basically leads you back to who you really are. And pretty much everything else to me just seems like an illusion. I don't want to do anything else. But, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In Australia, that's called walkabout. Anyone ever hear that term, walkabout?
Yes.
You know what it is?
Yes, it's when they spend days walking about into the woods, semantically, if you will, and meditation and journeying. They fast, I believe, as well.
Walkabout is can be all those forms. What it means is that you keep walking until you find yourself.
Yep.
So that will take you wherever you're going to go, wherever it will lead you. You're going to meet whoever you will meet on that way, and you will do whatever comes along as you walk. And eventually you will meet yourself. And you know what? It's not as scary, as awful as you thought it was. It's delightful. It's beautiful. It's handsome. It's splendid. Because it's you. Free of all the stories, all of the beliefs, all of that old baggage chained around. That's all gone. Naked and free. Here I am. So how about putting that into your prayers? Because as each and every one of us, each and every person became free perceive what could happen here on this place we call Pachamama. That'd be extraordinary, wouldn't it? So I know that we are coming close to the close of the class of creation this evening. Anyone would like to add something before we formally close?
Just thank you again.
Well, yes. This is Linda Salvador. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. It's your turn, Mama.
Oh, I feel like what you just said about what is called a walkabout.
Yeah.
A walkabout. I feel that way about my life as it is now and who I am now, because I'm such a changed person within that I'd be amazed at myself. It's like the old me just stepped aside or disappeared, like I went to sleep and woke up and I'm totally not who I was.
Excellent.
And it took a journey. It took a phase of so many things happening for me to get where I'm at today. And I love it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Excellent. Anyone else?
I like what Linda said. I could relate. Thank you.
More than welcome. Also, I want to say something else, too, about the energy, like when you're saying about things holding, prayer cloths and stuff like that. I experienced that on one time I came for a session with you, Fran, from the picture that you had on the mantelpiece. It's such powerful energy to it. Was so intense. First of all, I cried when I looked at the picture. I wept, and then it almost knocked me down. The energy was so strong. I never felt anything like that ever.
Would you tell the people what that was? What that picture was?
It was Machu Picchu. It was yes.
Machu Picchu
mountain. Yes. Yes.
Indeed. Yeah, he's still waiting for you, Mama.
I know.
He's waiting for you. He told me that, actually.
Well, excellent. I'm afraid if I show up in person, I really wouldn't be able to stand up.
Well, probably won't, but that's okay. Wouldn't be the first person that fell down, sprayed on the laid on the ground.
Right. Okay.
It's okay to do that. Sometimes it's a good thing to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, I'm going to tell you something real quick before we close here. When we were on Machu Picchu, I have had the honor of actually officiating at a marriage ceremony on Machu Picchu.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, pretty much. The place that we did it at, have any of you been to Machu Picchu? Anybody?
Yep.
No? Well, yes, I know you were, but because I was with you. But anybody else? Anyone else? No? Okay. On Machu Picchu, when you come up the stairs and you are actually going into the temple grounds, everyone has seen that photograph of Machu Picchu. The first one where you see the plaza and you see the mountain in the background. That's the photograph everybody takes. Okay, well, if you were to walk across those grounds and go back like you're going back towards that mountain, and you go to your right, you go up through this little plaza, and there's this huge, huge boulder, which is known as the Pachamama Stone. And on the other side of that, there's another stone, and then there's just the edge there. And to the left is the sister mountain, Huayna Picchu. Well, that's where the ceremony was held, right by the Pachamama Stone, looking out over this cliff edge in the mountains. The ceremony was complete, and at the end of the ceremony, we hear clapping, and there were crowds of people that we didn't even know had come up, and we're standing there watching this. Didn't even know they were there. We were so involved in the ceremony. Now, let me tell you something, folks. If we're talking about blessings tonight, there was every blessing from every mountain, from every sacred ones of light right there, fully embodied with us. How about that?
Wow. Yeah.
Well, here you go, Linda. You and Al can come down, and I'll reinstate your marriage. How about that?
Sure, that would be fantastic.
And the mountains will, I should say.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So, why did I give you that just as we're getting ready to close? Anyone? Okay. Just know that it was a full embodiment of the light. There with us, the full blessings of the light with us there. So everyone can center and ground as we say, give our thanks and bring the cloth of creation to a close. So, Psyche, Apun Wilka Wira Kocha, Apun Wilka Pachamama, Apun Wilka Mamekila, Apun Wilka Inti Taeta, Apun Wilka Pupunya, Apun Wilka Punchai, Conchai, Samai. We thank you, you who are the sacred ones of light, sacred angels of light, the sacred archangels of light, sacred warriors of light, sacred guardians of light, sacred keepers of light, the sacred teachers of light, the sacred guides of light, sacred mountains who are the light, sacred places of light, the sacred protectors of light, the sacred healers of light, the sacred feminine of light, the sacred masculine of light. We thank you for your guidance, helping us to enhance our prayers, filling them with blessings. So now we know that even as our prayers have touched others, they can go much further now, touching all. What we do for ourselves, we do for the greater good, not because it serves us only, but because it serves us all. Thank you. Good night, all. We'll see you next week.
Good night. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Good night.
Good night.